Okay.
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 All right. Good morning. Welcome to break. I don't know if anyone else needs this, but I know I've had a busy morning and I kind of just need to take a second to give myself a breath because, you know, it's the end of the week. We've got a lot going on, but we're almost through the end of the year.
Yeah, we got a couple announcements today. Just like Kate said, I feel the same way. Break is always a good time to just sit back and kind of reconvene with everybody else, feel connected. But we do have some good announcements today. First off, we'll start with some good news with Mr. Raymond and Dr. Cicchetti for Distinguished Global Scholar Awards.
Finally, the good news.
Aloha, good morning, everybody. We are very excited today to introduce to you and to announce our Distinguished Global Scholars for the 1920 school year. And I just want to remind everybody that the Distinguished Global Scholars program exists to get you excited about studying advanced coursework at York School and to inspire you to see the world and study abroad through Study Abroad with CIEE, and to synthesize those two experiences towards a project that addresses a need in a local or national or global community, because we want you to be problem solvers ready for the 21st century. So if I could just bring in this wonderful drum for a second and give you a little drum roll. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Cicchetti, who will announce this year's Distinguished Global Scholar.
All right, well, we have 6 this year. 3 of them went to Spain. They are Jiacheng Liu, Rohan Sethi, and Jordan Goodwin. So we'll start talking to them. We have 2 from France, who went to France, Matthew Galloway and Anushka Velukashapko. And one that went to China, Francesco Carrillo. And they all have really fascinating presentations on their projects. Many of them are posted on the archive, so check them out and feel free to contact me about questions for the about the program. Thank you.
Okay, congratulations to everybody. We have some even more good news from Mr. Key.
Great, thanks, Kevin. Yeah, it is good news. Grace, do you want to go ahead and share your screen and share our presentation? So it's with great excitement that the faculty, staff, and the schedule committee are presenting today York's new schedule for next year. And I wanted to remind everybody about the process. If you remember that there were some prototypes that we presented to students and faculty and staff, and we received feedback. We took all of that feedback. What you will notice when you see the schedule today is that the overwhelming choice from both students and faculty and staff is the template we used for next year's schedule. I also wanted to remind everybody that we were really basing the new schedule on 4 goals, and that was to provide a healthier, hopefully less frenetic day for faculty, staff, and students. That it'll support your classroom learning, and hopefully you'll see that today as the schedule committee presents different parts of the schedule. We really wanted to balance arts, academics, and athletics, especially getting music in the day, which we did. And then increasing more collaboration, student support time. So you'll see that also when Ms. Sherry talks about community time. So we're really excited about this schedule, and we hope you get excited about it also. And I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Raymond to start our presentation. Mr. Raymond.
Thank you, Mr. Key. I am so excited about the schedule that we have to present to you today. And I just want to draw your attention to a few key features that we're confident you're going to really enjoy. First of all, we've expanded the schedule from a 7-day rotation to an 8-day rotation, A to H. H is H day for happiness and all kinds of other things that you might want to think of in time. And what that means is that it expands time inside the schedule so that we can bring music into the day and some other aspects of school life that you requested. You're also going to see that there's an 8:30 start time every day. That means nothing is happening before 8:30 that is required, but you can still come to campus before 8:30. More on that in a few minutes. Lots of opportunities in the new school schedule for student support. We've increased tutorial time. We're increasing study period time. Lots of opportunities for you to meet with teachers and to get extra help. And we're also reducing the transitions in the day. So you'll notice that instead of having 6 class periods in a day, you have 5. And inside the rotation, that means that on some days, based on your schedule, you may only have 3 or 4 homework assignments due for that day because you may only have 3 or 4 classes that you meet in that day. And that means fewer preparations, more time for you to prepare during the day. And we think that's going to lead to great academic success, excuse me, and also a lot of health and happiness. Next slide, please, Grace. The other feature of this new schedule is that every Wednesday is a late start day. So that's more time for you to sleep in, to prepare, to go to personal appointments, to meet with each other in groups on campus or off campus. And then you'll come to class on Wednesdays for a 9:20 start, and you'll have your 5-period rotation that day. It'll follow the cycle day, but that means that every Wednesday is going to be a late start day, and we think that's going to be a wonderful thing. I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Moneypenny.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for the next slide. So like Mr. Raymond said, 8:30 start, woohoo, sleep. That means that also music is in the day. One of the things I wanted to feature too is that the hour-long classes, just like the current schedule, but this time there's 2 hour-long classes, those drop for the next day, as well as the last class of the day drops the next day. For those that are potentially missing the 5th class for athletics, but more on that later. Also, like Mr. Raymond said, there's lots of tutorial. You might have study periods as you normally would on your course selections. Notice all those tutorial times that are highlighted in red. And let's see. Oh, and then path as well during the day on C day. And notice too, look, lunch, free. Woohoo! I'm going to turn it over now to Miss Sherry.
Sorry, forgot to unmute. Thank you. And I am particularly excited about this thing that we're calling community time, because you know how I feel about us really intentionally building our community. So this one prioritizes that intentional community building, and it gives us time in the day for a cognitive break. We get to grow our brains through social time, through togetherness time, like now, like break, and like path. And we get to grow our brains through music time, and then return to the academic day recharged. So the next slide, please, Grace. So you'll see that we have scheduled break, clubs, student council meeting, the instrumental music classes, collaborative time for a project so that you can meet with a teacher or you can meet with fellow students, path, as we've talked about before. There's just all kinds of opportunity to intentionally build our community here. And you'll be able to go to clubs and focus on those clubs and enjoy them. And we'll have lots more details about exactly how that's going to work next year when we're together. But you can see, and I think there might be, just so you understand the coding here, when you see M/S, that stands for math science. And when you see HML, that stands for humanities and languages. So as you're trying to sort of go through and decipher this, just keep that in mind. And that will be times that you can focus in on those particular subject areas. The thing, again, I'm just going to say it again because I'm so excited about this, as in addition to the whole collaborative nature of this schedule building and all the input that we've taken from you and from the teachers and, you know, just from all kinds of different constituencies, is this dedicated time to breathe and to be together as a community. I think it's going to make a big difference for us all. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Williams, who's going to talk a little bit about music. Thanks.
Good morning. I can't tell you how excited I am that I don't have to show up at 7:30 every morning to teach singing. But I think all of our students who are in the music program are going to be thrilled that we got music in the day. We are a small school, and so getting 5 ensembles together in one spot was kind of difficult, so we were creative. So right now what you're looking at is a sample student schedule. This is an opportunity to kind of see how your day would work and how wonderful 5 classes will be instead of 6. And so you'll see in the yellow that for those of you who are in choir and chamber, that would be the time that you would come to that class. What it doesn't say there is that 3 of those will be choir and 2 of those will be chamber. So you'll notice that we are going to use B-Day in the community time for chamber as well. Now, also, if you are in jazz band or if you are in band, to be able to use the music room and be able to have all of chamber choir, jazz, and band use the same room, which we'll be very excited about, not working in the theater, I'm sure. That means that we're going to use some of that time in community time to meet for band and jazz band. Now, if you're a strings player, that will be opposite some of what's happening in chamber and choir. So that will still be happening in the chapel, but it allows us a lot more flexibility for students who are in multiple ensembles. It also means that every single one of you could join choir and we could all sing together, which I'm thrilled about. But it's an exciting opportunity that we get to have to come together, do some music, use a different part of our brain, be creative, be collaborative. You might have a space in between Spanish and geometry where you get to come and sing, and it would just be, it's gonna be really great. So I've worked really hard on creating this for all of you, and we're really excited to have this happen next year. Next slide will be Dr. Hannah. So, thank you.
Hello, everyone. So again, we're looking at another sample student schedule. These both, the one Mr. Williams presented and the one I'm talking about here, are just to give you an idea of what this might look like versus some of the things you might already be in or might be thinking of signing up for now that there's a little bit more room in the schedule. The version we're looking at here would be a sample for someone who might be in an athlete, so in sports, and then in maybe a club that takes up a significant amount of their time, such as robotics. You'll see the designated club times that were on A and E Day are now filled with time for robotics during the day, during that community time block. And then in that yellow rotating class where choir and chamber choir were meeting in the example that Mr. Williams were presenting before, Let's say the schedule is for an athlete who's not in choir or chamber choir. In that case, that rotating class block becomes a tutorial for those athletes. It is now a free period built into their schedule so that, for example, if they are missing period 5, the period at the end of the day, which again, Miss Moneypenny informed you drops the next day. Let's say you missed that period for a sporting event. That means you have that rotating tutorial that you could go to. You also have that extra day to try and catch up with that teacher about what you may have missed in that class. I think that's about it here. You'll see how some of these classes rotate around. Essentially expanding it out, that 8th cycle day is what gave us that other rotating period in there to be able to work some of these things in for you. And with that, to talk a little bit more about the end of the day and how some other things might fit into the rotating block, I'm going to turn it over to Coach Peters and Mr. B.
Greetings all. We really value living a healthy life, and we know it's good for the brain, it's good for your body, and you're probably finding that out hopefully now as being able to get out of your house and take walks and such. And so we were able to make this schedule, but at the same time with minimal impact on the sports offerings that the school has, the time for practice times, the recovery times. So for the most part, the league that we're a representative of really will drive what time, in most cases, you'll play events, when you'll get home. But one of the nice things with this new schedule is that, as Dr. Hannah so eloquently said, the biggest issue is that practice times will more or less stay the same. They won't be impacted by all the wonderful things, other opportunities, so you can do those embedded in the school day. But you'll have to also have time after late night competitions to catch up on your homework or meet with a teacher or do something of that nature. But other than that, I think it's a wonderful schedule because it gives more room for breathing room, for flexibility during the day. But at the same time, you still have all the opportunities to sign up for as many sports as you want to and pursue that side of your life while playing music, stretching your brain in academics, and doing all those things to create a well-balanced person. And I'll see, does Mr. B want to weigh in any way? But as far as all of us on the schedule committee, we did a wonderful job of balancing all the different modalities and options that each student would want to or would like to pursue. And I think we did a beautiful job. Mr. B, any comments?
Yeah, and I think as Kyra just posted on the chat, if you've got a late game, then you don't have to do your homework necessarily after that game. You can actually leave something for the free time during the health and fitness the next day. And this is also good too for those who are doing independence. That's a large group of our school, and they put in a lot of time too. So they too will have time during the day. So I think that is absolutely great. And I think it's great for those who are doing health and fitness to actually have that break in the day. So I love the schedule. Thank you.
And so with that, I'll turn it back to Mr. Key.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate that. And I wanted to thank the schedule committee. Again, they spent hours and hours and hours and hours on this, and they deserve a lot of credit. I want to thank the students. I want to thank the faculty for all of their feedback. There is no perfect schedule, but we feel like this is as close as we can get to helping us improve our daily experience on campus. So thanks to everybody for your feedback. I know watching the chat, I know there are a lot of individual questions that you probably have as students. And so what I'm going to do after the meeting today is send an email to you with a PDF of a detailed FAQ and description of the schedule. So hopefully a lot of your questions will be answered in there. What you see on the screen right now is we're going to have a dedicated landing page for York's schedule that will be up soon. So you can go there, but this PDF will have all of that information in it. So if you're curious, just go and look at that PDF. And if you have any questions, please get back to us. And then finally, there are still some details to be worked out. So since health and fitness is in the day, we still need to work out the logistics and the details for that. Clubs, AP time, arts and till, and how those work together. We're going to work on figuring out those details for you before the school year starts. But in general, we're really excited about this and look forward to starting with this new schedule in August. So thanks to everybody. I appreciate it. And we're done.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much. Just the whole committee. The process took so long, but thank you for everybody who was involved in it. I think I speak for everybody, but that is, like you said, as close as you can get to a perfect schedule. And I was just applying my own schedule into that, like, oh, will this work? Will I be able to do this and that? And everything's checking out. I think everybody's so thrilled to be a part of this schedule. Poor seniors, but you know, at least we have the opportunity to you know, have the schedule going forward for future students and for us. But we still have some more break announcements. We have Ms. Clemens for national Latin exam results. A lot of good news.
Hi, everybody. We got the results back finally from the National Latin exam yesterday. They did not send medals. Those will have to be you'll have to wait till the fall for those. As usual, York did very, very well. This test is taken by many schools where Latin is only an elective, and the students taking it are highly, highly, highly motivated to take Latin, whereas people like Kevin were just taking it because he had to and enjoyed it thoroughly, I'm sure. So I will let everybody know in class what your scores were, but I would like to read off the gold summa cum laudes. We've had more this year than in previous years. For Latin 1, we had Ryan Dickus, Joseph Smock, Vincent Camacho, and Sydney Choi. For Latin 2, every single person in the class who took the test received recognition, and way more than half in Latin 1, by the way. But every single person in Latin 2, and we have a gold summa cum laude for Juliet Oliver. And then Jai Chang, are you online?
Yes.
Jai Chang took the Latin 5 exam, prepared for this on his own, and he got a gold summa cum laude.
Yes! Woo!
Congratulations, all the Latin students. You did amazing.
Yeah, congratulations to everybody. There's a lot of good news today. So we have 2 more announcements. Sun for Philosophy Club, you're here.
Yes, hello. Hello, folks. It looks as if this will be my final philosophy announcement, and I just wanted to reflect upon the amazing intellectual challenges we have faced as a community here up at Break. It's truly inspiring. I hope that I and my fellow Philosophy Club members have caused you to think, even for a moment, about the intricacies of life we all too often skim over. Tomorrow, we will be discussing the topic of what is more important, the means or the end. Are you willing to crush the dreams of millions to realize your own goals, or will you forsake ever living up to your full potential for the sake of others? Please join us tomorrow for Philosophy Club, where we will have our ultimate philosophy discussion of the year and speak about the guest appearance of an Oxford theology student, Alex O'Connor, to speak on the matter of skepticism. Tomorrow, D-Day, 11 o'clock, Mr. CP's room. Be there.
Okay, thank you, Sun. And I think Kate has an announcement.
Oh, okay. Oh, actually, I think Mr. Williams has one.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Williams.
Yeah.
You go first.
Yes, sorry. Of course, I am announcing tomorrow is our virtual arts celebration. I sent you out an email last night, and I'm really excited about everything. You can watch a little sneak peek of the different videos of the students in that YouTube clip. I'll drop it in the chat so that you can see that. But again, it's tomorrow at 6 p.m. It will be probably about an hour. And then afterwards, you can check out all of the other music video projects. There are about 40 of them. When you have almost a quarter of the school in choir, that's a lot of us. And it's a lot of really cool videos, creativity. And I'm really excited to share those. So make sure that you drop in and see what we have been doing. And and then share out. It's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's going to be an amazing event tomorrow. So everybody, if you're not doing anything, please pop in. Just see what amazing work that the music department has been doing and all the teachers involved in it. And Kate, you have an announcement.
Yes. So I'm making an announcement for Miss Flager because she's having some trouble with her internet. She wants to thank everyone, all the students, for sending in photos for the Faculty Appreciation Week. I know that our faculty really appreciate it, and it's good to just take a second. I know we should appreciate our teachers every day, but just a special second to remember how important they are to our education and us growing as well as human beings. Also, the seniors need to email Ms. Flager their photos ASAP, and if they don't have a senior photo, they can just email a picture of themselves at the right. I'd also want to remind you guys that LitMag is still accepting applicants, and I'll put the information as far as where you can submit in the comments. Thank you.
Real quick, Caden has an announcement before we go to sophomore speeches.
Yeah. I just want to say really quick that I only ever schedule my dentist appointments for 2:30, and I don't think my dentist appreciates it as much as I do. You know, just speaking of schedules.
Oh, that was it. Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, Kate, for some.
Yeah, I mean, I could continue if you want, but I think we're already running a little late here.
Thank you, Caden. Moving on, we have our last sophomore speech of the year. This is a big moment. Let's give Ryan our full attention right now for his sophomore speech.
Okay. I've been dreading the sophomore speech since I first heard about it. I think the main reason for my fear was I didn't want to share anything too personal. Despite this, here I am, sharing something personal with the entire school. I have ADHD. I was first diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder in the 3rd grade. While my 2nd grade teacher had been fun and interactive, she would read to us and had creative lessons like going outside and drawing a life-sized blue whale on the playground. My 3rd grade teacher was the opposite. She would lecture to us every day using an ample supply of notes she would project onto the board for us to copy down at rapid speeds. School had gone from a roller coaster ride to being stuck on a cross-country trip on a bus. The bus may be more practical at getting me where I need to go, but the roller coaster ride was way more fun. As I struggled to keep up on notes in this new 3rd grade environment, my lack of focus for things that don't interest me became apparent. I'm not exactly the image, or at least I hope I'm not, of what most people probably associate with ADHD, the kid who never sits still or stays quiet, because my disease is more of an inattention problem than a hyperactivity one. And I say disease, but don't worry, unlike everything else right now, I'm not contagious. I find it interesting how arbitrary the diagnosis seems. Like they decide you have ADHD if you cross a specific line on a spectrum. Like treading water, I often feel like I'm not quite submerged in ADHD, but still not out of the metaphorical water either. But I'm getting off topic as I often do. Until my diagnosis, I never thought about how people's brains work differently. I just assumed everyone thought the same way I did. I feel like my mind is a calm but crowded ocean. I'll drift from thought to thought in the currents quickly, sometimes lingering on ideas I find interesting. But my main struggle comes when trying to process an idea slowly with new information washing over me. It can also be difficult to stay focused on a single idea for a long period of time, especially when I don't find that interesting, despite how important it could be. Not only does it often slip away, it can plunge the rest of the calm sea into turmoil. I'm perfectly content to think about something, but when my train of thought gets interrupted, it can feel like the sting of cold ocean water on my face. Now, I don't want pity, but I would like empathy. What's the difference? I'm not sure, but empathy sounds better. I want you to better understand the way I and hopefully other people you know think. I don't think of myself as worse off, but I'm far from perfect and I make a lot of mistakes. So next time you say something to me and I look like I'm a million miles away, it's because I kind of am. So I'm giving you my deepest apologies in advance. And I'm also saying, I'll be right there.
All right. Kate and Kevin, may I go ahead and give my
Yes,
announcement?
please. Thank you.
All right. I know we're going over time already by 6 minutes, but I do want to wrap up the sophomore speeches for the year. Sophomores, the year's speeches have ended in this virtual chapel with bandwidth, not eye contact, being that with which you've had to grapple. But here we are, and each of you has completed your charge, despite awkward camera angles and foreheads enlarged. You told stories heartwarming, humorous, reflective, connecting us all in our eclectic collective. Stories about daydreaming and mastering life, host-family bonding and bicycle strife, gifts gained from depression and the sting of taunting, abuse and forgiveness, death and wanting. Stories of cousins both far away and gone, and of a horse that wouldn't listen and a pony named Sean. Advice that sometimes it's valiant to quit, and that joking with adults can be a good fit. You gave us windows into autism and ADHD, shared philosophies of life, and lessons learned through model assembly. Tales of persistence through backpacking and rodeo, and surviving a middle school talent show. Passion for computers, surfing, and math, stories about true friendship and a bully leaving the warpath. The pain of racism and the challenge of moving, and how running and soccer got you improving. A beloved teacher, the wind, classical music have all inspired, while gratitude and volunteering have humbled and empowered. You told stories of accidents and of quitting league and of brushing your teeth despite laziness and fatigue. Each speech you gave was a gift to our community. Yes, our community. Insight, compassion, vulnerability, and euphony. The power of one voice, one story can't be measured. It can move nations, spark imagination, an invaluable treasure. So thank you, sophomores, for all that you gave. And remember, you don't have to be fearless to be brave. Another round of applause for all of this year's sophomores. I am so proud of each and every one of you. Woo!
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ms. Berry, for those really nice remarks. And, we can't say it enough for all of our sophomores. Thank you for continuing to open yourself up to the community, be vulnerable, take a chance, and just, let us embrace you with open arms. Thank you, Ryan, today for sharing such a personal and beautiful story with such confidence, and to be able to do that is very inspiring. And I think that's the best possible way to kick us off towards our finals next week and our last break. So on behalf of Kate and I, thank you so much for first great couple weeks and letting us, run your breaks and be your vice president and president. We're very excited. So thank you so much. And we're pretty over time, so just go to class.